Hey!
Alright, so we're back at you with part 2 of a dearly beloved video on our channel.
Yeah, who would have thought that we would make a part 2 of this?
Part 2 of the Gaston times Robbie Rotten fanfiction.
Really sorry. The first one was actually, for whatever reason, one of our more popular videos.
Shout out to you, Policy368.
We work really hard on the content that we put on this channel, and that was the one that got a lot of views.
We're gonna start off with Chapter 6, You Are My Comfort Zone. Robbie had never been so mortified in his dark, miserable life. He'd let Gaston's presence catch him off guard, and he made a fool of himself in front of the person he hated most. Dang him to dark heck, Robbie muttered. Excuse me? Robbie jumped. Gaston was leaning in the doorway, his arms crossed. The expression on his face could only be described as a smirk. His rage intensified. Where was the curious, vulnerable man he'd met the day before? What do you want from me? I swear, if you try to mess with me, you will seriously regret it.
I'm regretting making this channel, Cass!
Ditch the hostility, darling. Darling? Look, okay, the author's asking the same question I'm asking. Like, he seriously wrote darling with a question mark in here. Gaston sighed. Sorry, darling.
Sorry.
Great Sporticus brings out the worst in me. We're old friends, ever since a bodybuilding competition when we were young, and he owes me one. I lost my memories of my hometown, and Sporticus's athletic mind treatment is going to help me get it all back.
When he lost his memory, did he lose, like, the memory of him fucking dying in the Beauty and the Beast movie? It said in the last video that it was a tragic boating accident.
Robbie couldn't help but feeling a little guilty. Sorry, I tend to judge people before I know them. Well, he's really honest. I guess it's to help protect my feelings from people who would hurt me. Wow, he got really, like, open. Really fast. Gaston placed a hand on Robbie's period.
Wait, his what?
It's the punctuation mark period. He didn't say actually what Robbie's
No. He placed his hands on Robbie's, meaning Robbie's hand. I thought that you just stopped because, okay, I thought this was getting to that point. Okay, so he placed his hands on Robbie's
hand. I promise with all my heart that I will never hurt you. Okay.
Oui.
Robbie was so astounded by the sincerity in Gaston's eyes that he failed to notice that Sporticus was standing in the doorway.
Oh no!
His arms crossed, and with an unreadable expression on his elfish face, his voice was quiet. Shall we get started? Robbie gulped. He'd forgotten that sports were going to be involved.
Chapter 7. You enchant me.
Isn't that nice?
Robbie had never felt so much pain in his life, even when Trixie had dropped a beehive into his lair. His muscles felt like they were being pulled like taffy, and the sports clothes he borrowed were soaked in swear. I think they meant sweat. Come on, Robbie, please try to keep up. Robbie gritted his teeth. That crappy sports elf. Anyone could tell that Robbie hadn't done a day of exercise in his life, yet Sporticus seemed determined to push him way past his limits. However, Robbie wasn't going to go down without a fight. 1, 2, 1, 2, he grunted, waving his trembling arms in the air. Oh, we're back to this. Eyes front, Robbie, Sporticus sang, an angelic grin on his face. Step, slide, splits, death drop. Holy sh! Even through the pain, Robbie could tell that his body was adjusting to the movements. The music was pounding through his blood as he moved to the beats. The song ended and Sporticus stopped moving.
Oh, thank God.
Robbie bent over, gasping for air. Well, but Sporticus didn't even seem winded. If we're done, I've got to go record my observations, wheezed Robbie, staggering towards the door. Sporticus caught his arm. Not so fast, Robster! We have to cool down first! Robbie could feel his eyes bugging out of his head. Cool down? Why did we warm up if we were gonna cool down anyways?
You know what, those are the questions I ask myself after I work out.
I don't even work out. Robbie turned to look at him. He didn't seem to be making fun of Robbie. Ha 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 ha!
Chortle.
Muscles have to warm up before they are used. The real workout is after they are warmed up, and then the cool down relaxes the muscles to prevent damage and help flexibility. Oh, thanks for the lesson, Sportarat. That's not nothing, I was just saying that to myself. He thought about it. I guess that makes sense, he muttered. Good, said Sporticus, bending in half. Downward dog. Next chapter. Wow.
Chapter 8. Our Broken Hearts.
Oh no, we're getting to this point now.
Robbie couldn't move a muscle. He was lying on his bed. Every part of his body ached. There was no point to exercise if it made him hurt so badly, right?
That's what I'm saying.
There was a knock on the door. Come in. Robbie's voice was a little raspy. It was Gaston holding a glass of water. How convenient. Hey, he said, sounding a little uncertain. You look like you could use a drink of water. Sporticus's yoga routine isn't exactly beginner level. Reaching out, Robbie took the glass and began gulping thirstily. Kate, don't. Hey.
I'm good. Keep going.
Gaston watched in silence, his eyes trained on Robbie's. When Robbie was done, he took the glass, set it on the table, and sat down on the bed. That's like what we're doing.
Hold on.
We have to be in character. Sporticus's blimp was spacious. There's something about the word blimp that you just can't take it seriously. Sporticus's blimp was spacious and futuristic, a far cry from Robbie's home. The lighting was soft, the bedding luscious. There was even a set of Robbie's favorite outfit in the closet, which Robbie didn't quite understand. In the lowly lit room, the lines of Gaston's face seemed softer, his eyes bigger and deeper. Has the exercise triggered your memory at all? Robbie asked. Gaston picked up a pillow and turned it in his hand. Yeah, actually, I was watching you dance and the way your body moves to the beat. I suddenly remembered that I have a sister who loved to dance. She would turn on the radio and dance for hours, moving freely and joyfully, just like you did. My dancing triggered your memory? His dancing probably, triggered everyone who saw it, and not in a good way. Are you sure it wasn't a memory or someone getting hit by a car? I'm serious, that's written there. Because that's what it felt like.
Aye.
Oh, you are a funny one, Robbie Rotten. He leaned a little closer, and Robbie could smell his breath. It still hinted of raw eggs, but something else was there too. Cinnamon gum, Robbie realized. It felt like someone had stabbed him in the stomach with an icy knife. Must be a good feeling or something.
Oh man, wow, I can't even contain myself right now.
So if Gaston's mouth smelled like cinnamon gum,
oh man,
then the only conclusion was that Gaston's mouth had at some point been in contact with Sporticus's mouth.
You could get cinnamon gum down in any fucking store.
Apparently not for them. I don't...
No.
Get out, Robbie's voice said. What? Said Gaston. He looked confused. I said, get out! Robbie screamed.
You okay?
He could feel tears on his face, which only made him boil with rage. He threw a pillow at Gaston. Get out! Robbie buried his face in his pillow, sobbing violently. He didn't let himself think. Kate. I think the audience understands what Robbie Rotten was doing.
Okay. I mean, I was actually crying because we're still reading this.
He didn't let himself think about why the thought of Gaston and Sportacus kissing would make him so distressed. He didn't want to be Robbie Rotten, who everyone hated and nobody cared about. Robbie cried himself to sleep for the 4,865th time in a row.
Oh, it's my turn. Chapter 9. It's between you and me. The next morning, Robbie stumbled into the kitchen. His body felt like it had been through a meat grinder. His throat hurt from screaming and his face was still puffy. "Why, hello, Robert," said Sportacus cheerfully. He was wearing a white bathrobe over his signature blue outfit. Robbie grunted, carefully avoiding looking at or thinking about Gaston, who was seated across from him. They ate silently. "So today I thought we could give Robbie a little taste of real sports." Sportacus's Icelandic accent was more pronounced in his excitement. "We're going skydiving." Ooh. Robbie groaned and banged his head on the table, wishing that he would wake up cozy in his lair and that all of this would turn out to be a bad dream. He hated Sportacus, he hated Gaston, and he definitely hated heights. And I definitely hate my life right now. The blimp had been rising higher and higher and was circling around the now stamp-sized lazy town. The only thing stronger than Robbie's fear in that moment was his anger, and the whole situation still hadn't looked Gaston in the eyes. "Oh dear." "Now when I say go, be ready to jump," said Sportacus. "Remember to pull the cord within 30 seconds or else you will die." I can also imagine him saying it with like a huge smile on his face too, like, "You'll die." Sportacus did a triple backflip out the door and disappeared into the clouds like a small blue comet. Robbie looked at Gaston, who looked back with that same determined glare. Robbie's annoyance spiked, and with defiance, he stepped out of the blimp. The clouds were rushing past in a torrent of white, and the sensation of having absolutely nothing supporting him was making Robbie's stomach spin. He struggled to keep his eyes open against the fierce wind. His arms were flailing, but he was aware.
Totally threw off the mood, Kate.
He was aware of the parachute cord flapping at his waist. Pulling it as soon as possible would probably be the best course of action. Some divine force prompted to look above him. Maybe it was the connection he'd felt with Gaston. Maybe it was the emotion he'd seen in Gaston's eyes. But something told Robbie to look at Gaston. What do you want? For a second, Robbie thought Gaston was simply showing off with his lack of fear. But he quickly realized that Gaston had probably passed out. Robbie began to panic, but over the pounding in his head, he remembered the instructions Sportacus had given them. If someone's chute malfunctions, or they can't open it up, harness them into your own straps and then pull your cord. But do it quick, or else you'll both die. Using his limbs to propel him, Robbie shot through the air. His mouth was slack, plump tongue flapping against his pearly teeth. What a sentence. Robbie closed his eyes and pulled the cord as the ground hurtled towards them.
Chapter 10, Twisted Paradise. Gaston! 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 Gaston's eyes opened. Robbie's sculpted face distorted with worry, was hovering inches above his own. What happened? They were in a clearing surrounded by trees. One of them had a parachute stuck in its branches. Gaston. Oh, Gaston.
Oh, Gaston.
Gaston sat up. "You passed out, you know, so I harnessed myself to you, and we landed in the forest outside the town. You aren't hurt, are you?" The tenderness of Robbie's eyes surprised Gaston. Yeah, I think so. Nothing really hurts. He stretched his arms and legs, then carried. That was extra. And turned to face Robbie. Well, except my Kokoro, except my heart. We aren't in a relationship. Robbie looked up. He was crying. What? Gaston took his hand. I said, we aren't dating. Sporticus gave me some gum in hopes that the flavor would somehow jog my memory, but it didn't work. Now, why were you so jealous? Ho ho ho. Robbie blushed furiously and averted his gaze as Gaston pulled him closer. Baka! Oh my! Robbie Rotten does not get jealous. Gaston kissed his cheek, not like before, when it had to be a quick peck. This was soft and loving, and Gaston felt his insides melting. When he pulled away, Robbie looked like his brain had popped a fuse. There was a bright flash of light. Gaston doubled over. There were images, so many images. A girl and a boy running through the forest, a man fishing, a young woman reading a book. Oh, I wonder who this is.
Oh, it's Belle. Cool. Cool.
Gaston! Robbie's arms were around him again. What's the problem? What's the problem? Gaston looked up at Robbie in awe. I think my memories just came back now. Robbie stared back lovingly. What? How? It was you, my little Robin. You brought my memories back to me. Robbie leaned into his hand, humming quietly. They stayed like that for a long time.
Chapter 11. Epilogue. Let's finish this, shall we? Robbie stood at the foot of the ladder, letting the breeze from the propellers of the blimp ruffle his hair. He'd started using less gel because Gaston said it looked better. Gaston was climbing down, his powerful muscles straining. Is that everything? Robbie tried to keep his voice from quivering, but he was one moment away from crying. Gaston pulled him into a tight hug. It is, little Robin. It's time. But why? Robbie felt the tears run down his face and over his lips. Gaston's face looked blurry, so Robbie angrily wiped them away. Oh, darling, you know I don't belong here. This isn't my world. As much as I love you, we can't live together here. It just isn't possible. Why don't you love me enough to stay? Gaston's face crumpled as he let one tear slip out. Then two, he held Robbie so tightly that he felt his body would fold in on itself, just like his heart had. Oh, this is a huge monologue here. I love you. I love you. I love you more than the earth and the sea and all the animals put together. Even the dogs. I'm leaving you behind because I know it would hurt you to see me wither away here. And heaven knows how much it would hurt me to see you try and live in my world. But, he said, wiping away Robbie's tears with a shaking finger, I promise with all my heart and my blood and my bones, and especially all of my muscle, I will return and hold you once more. This is Gaston from Beauty and the Beast saying this to Robbie Rotten. What is Robbie hugged him even tighter, letting himself sob freely. He was aware of the children watching silently behind him, but he couldn't,
dear.
But he couldn't have cared less.
That's so messed up. They're doing that, like these kids just like,
oh, there's Robbie. Gaston. It was Sporticus, looking subdued. We have to go. Gaston pulled away, and Robbie looked at him like a starving man looking at Christmas dinner. I'll wait for you, Gassy.
How is this supposed to be like a cute pet name? I'll wait for you, Gassy.
I'll wait for you, Gassy. I'll wait for you till the end of time. Gaston turned around on the ladder and winked one last time. I won't be gone that long, okay? See you later, darling. He was swallowed up in the depths of the blimp, and as it sailed away into the fading sun, Robbie felt his heart being ripped from his chest. all of the love in his heart followed the blimp.
That was really, really, really
Where are my tissues?
amazing. I felt like the whole range of emotions, you know, reading that.
I don't know why you would watch this if you haven't seen part 1, but if you have, please watch it. Because otherwise you probably didn't fucking understand what the hell was going on. Actually, even if you did watch part 1, I don't think
You probably
you'd
still
understand.
wouldn't know what
You
was
probably
going
still,
on.
I don't know.
The story is between two very unlikely lovers. So
Subscribe to see more of whatever the heck this was. Bye!